Hello, Power Up Nation. I'm Pat Council, and on Designing Your Life today, I want to share 3 books that will put you on the achievement track. Now, I decided to talk about these 3 books because I thought, okay, when we talk about refreshing and reigniting our goals and choosing the right success circle, I think these books will not only help you choose the right circle, it will help you get into the circles that you desire to be a part of. Because everything in life, it works both ways. It's never all take and no give. Eventually that gets old and it fizzles out. And so with that being said, the reason why I wanted to talk some more about really refreshing, reigniting, and choosing your success circle and using these 3 books to illustrate that point is because a lot of times people want to get into certain groups. They want to hang around with certain people. Why? Because those people have great energy. Those people are the epitome of success. And they have lots of knowledge, and people think, okay, if I can just get in their space. Well, what most people don't think about is, okay, you can get in their space, but if everybody's thinking, if I could get in their space because I love their energy, and you're not bringing energy of your own, you're not bringing an identity of your own, or a kind of excitement or a commitment to excellence of your own, then you end up draining that person and they kind of want to step away from you. So what does that mean? That means you're out of the circle. So the object of the game is to make it win-win. So these 3 books I'm going to suggest to you will help put you back on the achievement track. So if you're having some challenges achieving your goals at this point, this is great because even though the year is more halfway over, actually more than halfway over, you still have time and you can do a lot. Did you know that I've always suggested to people when I'm coaching them is that if you can stay the course for 90 days, then you can actually see some really great changes. You can make a lot of ground, and you will begin to see some really great unexpected results. But most people have challenges staying on course for 90 days. So I think a lot of times we look for these hacks or different tricks that we can use that will keep us focused, that will keep us on track. And the truth of the matter is that's hard work to look for these tricks and try to find out what's the secret to staying on track. Well, these 3 books will help you with the secret, if there is a secret. The only reason it's a secret is because when people hear it, they don't embrace it. So with that being said, let's kind of get into this. Well, the first book that I want to recommend to you is actually my own workbook, High Impact Power Principles. In that workbook, I have a few little short stories in the book that will inspire you. And I pull those stories from various aspects of my own life, because I want you to understand that when I talk about goal setting and I talk about goal achievement, and I talk about doing life with power, that this is not something that I just kind of made up in my head and it just sounds good. This is something that I've lived and I continue to live every day. Whenever you're working on achieving a goal, whether it's the same goal or a new goal, which I encourage you to always move up and increase your goals. But no matter what, you're going to go through things. You're going to have to overcome certain challenges. Now, if you've set the exact same goal and you say, I've done that, I can do it in my sleep, then you're going to have to overcome the challenge of boredom. Okay. And you'll be surprised when people set the exact same goal over and over, eventually they start to really, yes, lose interest, but also they find that they don't achieve the goal because they're not interested in achieving that goal anymore. So stretch your mind. So in my book, High Impact Power Principles, I really provide you, it's a workbook, as I said, with a few stories in it. And if you go through and you actually complete all of the different information that's in the books, not only will it allow you to refresh and reignite your goals, because you'll have a very clear picture. It will also give you a clear picture as to who you are. It will also help you to make some decisions about the direction that you're going in, and it will share information that will help you discover a value system that works for you, and you can add that to an identity. And when I say an identity, it is the identity that you need in order to achieve your goals. We don't all have the same goals. We're not all on the same journey, in the sense that whatever the goal is, the goals are different. And so you have to become that person who believes that you can achieve the goal. You have to fully embrace this. So if you want more wealth, you have to become wealth. You want to have better relationships, you have to become a person who's relatable, and also who's open to having great relationships, or learning how to have great relationships. So if you want to have better health, you have to become a person who is the epitome of health. And you say, how can that be if I have certain ailments? How can I become the epitome of health? As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So it all begins in your mind and how you see yourself and who you are. And so the object of the game is for you to take that, mix it with some faith, and go to work and start making some things happen. So check out my book, High Impact Power Goal Setting. I think you'll find that it makes goal achievement easier in terms of giving you the clarity and the guidance that perhaps you may have been looking for. And that may be why you're having challenges achieving your goals. I'll put the link in the show notes. All right, so let's talk about the next book. Now, this author, he wrote a book called The Four Agreements, and I read that book years ago. And it was very profound. And I loved the information that was in the Four Agreements. And we're not going to talk about the Four Agreements because that's not the book I'm recommending. But if you want to consider it as a bonus, you can feel free to get a copy of the Four Agreements. The book that I want to talk about is The Mastery of Self. Now, the author who wrote both of these books, The Four Agreements and The Mastery of Self, is Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. And I'll also put that link in the show notes as well. And so after I read the Four Agreements, a few years later, he came out with The Mastery of Self. And the perspective that he uses to explain self-mastery and what it can do for your life, I believe it will not only inspire you, but it will give you clarity, and it'll give you permission to be who God designed you to be. And that's what I really like about the book. We often think of self-mastery as something that that's connected to being perfect and having that a certain level of perfection. Self-mastery is about having a certain level of excellence. But before you even get to that point, self-mastery is about letting go of information that's been shared from one generation to the next that's been incorrect. Information that's put you in a box that you don't belong in. Information that's teaching you that you're not built by design to win. That because of your gender, because of your color, because of where you were born, in the neighborhoods that you grew up in, that this is your life. And that's not the case. And so with that being said, this book, it's a fun read. So it is also going to provide you with just really some clear insight into the mastery of self. It sends you more towards the idea of authentication, being authentic. If you're not authentic, it is very difficult for you to achieve the goals that will excite you or fulfill you. And in this book, I think with some of the questions that are asked in this book and some of the exercises in this book, as you go through it and you complete it, I think you will find more of who you are designed to be. Okay. And that will help you to achieve. You see, when we really kind of purify our identity and it's attached to our purpose, and that purpose turns into a set of goals, then achievement doesn't mean it's not going to be work, but it becomes kind of what I call fun work. It's challenging, yes. It can be a little slightly fearful, yes, but it's also super exciting to the point where you can overcome whatever fear that is that's stopping you. So think about that. It deals with the fears that people often hold, and many of us have held at some point in time, that prevented us from stepping out and being who we were designed to be from the beginning. You get a better understanding of your emotions, and it allows you kind of to spot some of the traps that we as human beings fall into that take us farther away from being our most authentic self and really understanding our identity. We end up being someone that someone else wanted us to be, that someone designed us to be, and as opposed to being who God designed us to be. So I think this book will excite you. I think you'll have fun reading it. So if you intend to hang out on the beach a little more this summer before school starts, for those of you who have children, or for those of you who are going to college and you're listening to this, listen, instead of just hanging out on the beach and listening to lots of music, then that's not really helping you grow. I want to suggest the book, The Mastery of Self. Do you know that many of the challenges that we have in life, they don't have to happen? Does that mean that we should never face any challenges? No, I think that challenges allow us to grow. It allows us to learn things that we were not taught by, let's say, our parents or our guardian, because they didn't know any better either. And so when you learn to master yourself, you learn so much about who you are. You also learn that you are more powerful than you realize. And when we understand that we're more powerful than we realize, you know what happens? We step out there and we want to achieve a goal. We want to make something happen because we want not just to prove it to other people, but we want to be obedient to our purpose and to our calling. So think about that. This book is definitely worth the read. Now, the books that I'm mentioning to you, and yes, it does include my own book. Of course, I have my own book on my bookshelf. But these books that I'm suggesting to you, these are books that I actually have on my bookshelf. There are some books that you just want to purchase and have a copy of those books. Now, it's totally up to you if you actually want to purchase a copy, but I think if you're going to go to the beach and read a book, it's nice to have your copy so that you can highlight things. You can write in the margins. You can write notes. It's going to spark ideas. And think about if you have a clear goal that you want to achieve. Think about that goal. When you're reading these books, then you're going to start to find that solutions are going to pop up. Answers and ideas are going to pop up. And you are going to be, as I mentioned last week in my podcast, Refreshed and Reignited, you're going to be just that, refreshed and reignited as it relates to your goals and just your overall life. Your perspective about what's possible will expand. And so with that being said, that's book number 2. Okay, so let's talk about the third and final book that I'm going to recommend. And so this one, the reason why I ended up purchasing this book, I don't watch football. And sometimes I might watch a little bit of the Super Bowl because I love to see champions play. And so, but I was watching something on the internet and I don't know what it was, or I was kind of surfing the internet and right there, what popped up was this clip. And there was one of the players on the sidelines, and I think this has been about 2 years ago, one of the players on the sidelines who was reading a book. And all of a sudden, and I clicked on the clip because I wanted to see it. And it was saying that because so many people saw the book show up on the television while he was sitting on the bench reading this book, that people started to buy this book. And of course, the book catapulted to being a bestseller, a New York Times bestseller. So the book is called Inner Excellence, and it's by Jim Murphy. Now, when I saw this, I love books about excellence. I like books about mastery. I love books about personal growth. I don't read just any personal growth book. I'm picky, but obviously I pick a lot of books because I have quite a few books on my shelf. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to take a look at this book. So I do spend some time in the bookstore often, and I've talked about that on many of the podcast episodes. And so my next trip to the bookstore, I said, okay, I'm going to see if I can find that book. And actually, it was on the shelf. And I took a look at it, and I thought, you know what? I think I would like to read this book. Now, this book is also a book about self-mastery, and it comes from a position of learning to really kind of let go of things that you can't control. It comes from a position of you opening up and being who you were designed to be and accepting what is, so that you can grow and so that you can excel and so that you can reach that point of inner excellence. When it comes to achieving goals, a lot of times we have the ability to achieve the goal. Sometimes we need guidance. Sometimes we need help with the plan. But at the end of the day, even if a person has the best plan ever, they allow their fear and the mental blocks to stop them. This book addresses that to help you become more what's called in the book as unstoppable. And that's the beautiful part. I think when people can learn to deal with their fears in the right way, instead of being told, okay, well, you can be afraid, but move forward anyway. And while there is some truth to that, to feel the fear and feel the fear, but do it anyway. There's a book called that as well. But there is some truth to that, because when you start doing it, of course, you eventually get over it. But there are some things that you do where each time you're about to do it, the fear pops up, but it does dissipate. It depends on what it is. And even though that fear will pop up to try and prevent you from moving forward, sometimes it works on people. This book deals with that. And he just has a completely different perspective. Now, it's not all about self-mastery. It is about getting to the ability or developing the self-mastery that's needed by overcoming anxiety and removing the mental blocks. And what I really like about this book, most importantly, is it does talk about training your subconscious mind. Years ago, and I've shared this story on one of my many episodes, podcast episodes. Years ago, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she was saying how, all they want to do is brainwash us. And so she was talking about certain things on television. And I said, yeah, but you keep watching these shows. Well, you have to watch something. And I thought about that, and I said, you know what? If somebody's going to be brainwashed, and there's constantly information that's trying to send us in a certain direction, whether that direction is, let's say, to our benefit, which honestly speaking, nowadays it rarely is. It's for their benefit, for the benefit of the person that's giving you the information. And sometimes, unless it's some of the self-mastery gurus that are out there who truly have a passion for helping people win. So there's always, that's the caveat, they want to give you information to help you step into being you. Namely the authors of these books that I am talking about now. But when I was talking to my friend, and she said, well, I don't like brainwashing. And I said, you're going to be brainwashed one way or the other. So you might as well take control of your own brainwashing and brainwash yourself into being a success. Brainwash yourself into achieving your goals. Brainwash yourself into having the best life possible. And also brainwash yourself into having the courage to serve your purpose. So, and she said, I never thought about it like that. And so with that being said, that's what I like about this book, Inner Excellence, because in the book, he teaches about training your subconscious mind and releasing limiting beliefs. Sometimes the things that stop us from achieving our goals is simple resistance. Because we've been taught something, we have been brainwashed into being a certain way, and we've adopted an identity that is counterproductive to who we were called to be. It's counterproductive to our overall purpose. And no matter what, you can achieve, actually, if you do something that's counterproductive to your purpose. Because if you follow the rules of winning, you're going to win. But here's the thing, you're going to win on a certain level. And that could be a high level as far as the rest of the world is concerned. But inside, you're a miserable person who feels empty and unfulfilled. And so this comes about because you've been led to believe this is who you are. But when you can release your limiting beliefs, you can get rid of that resistance. You can be open to and embrace the identity of who you believe you were designed to be, and step into your purpose. That's amazing. Well, this happens when you train your subconscious to think a certain way. When you train your subconscious to think a certain way and to bring about a specific outcome, while you will have to do the work, you almost become, it's almost like being on autopilot, or you feel weird if you don't do something that will take you closer to that outcome that you trained your subconscious mind to bring about for you. So it is important that you learn how to get rid of the resistance. Goal achievement does not have to be as hard as we make it. Will there be some challenges? I think there are always challenges when we are learning something new. But if you give your brain permission to accept this new thing that you're learning or what you need to learn, and be open and stop thinking that, oh, for example, oh my goodness, I have a PhD, I went to college and I know everything. You know, I got straight A's. That doesn't matter. If that's not connected to your purpose, and before you guys said, well, she's picking at people who went to college because she didn't go. Yes, actually, I have 2 college degrees. However, I decided to go into real estate, and as opposed to moving forward in the direction that I originally intended, which was law school. And so I decided to go in a different direction. And because actually when I got into real estate, I thought I can make this work, and this is actually fun and it's freeing. And I think, you know, God had a plan for me that was down the road. Now, what I do today, I love what I do. I'm excited about what I do. And this has nothing to do with whether I had I think a PhD, which I don't have a PhD, but if I had a PhD or not. Now, this isn't, so I'm not making fun of people with PhDs, but I've found that the more educated a person is in a certain area, or by certain institutions, they think a certain way. Okay, their minds become closed to something that could take them in the direction that would actually, well, in some cases, bring them a more fulfilling life. And so I'm not here to, you know, go down that road, but I can tell you this really quickly. I've coached a few, and some of them, they're not the easiest people to coach. And do I love coaching them? Yes, I love it. I love to help people win. But at the same time, if someone comes to me for coaching, while I'm never mean and I do my best to be polite, but I'm always truthful. I let them know that they're getting in their own way. So after having said all of that, this book, Inner Excellence, will help anyone, I think, who reads it and embraces the ideas in this book. It will help them get out of their own way. It is so important that we stay open. You know, the Bible says, lest ye be like a little child. And it says you can't inherit the kingdom of heaven. And that means, you know what? You can't inherit anything that's good if you are stuck in ways that are counterproductive to your good. So this book helps you open up. Now, these are the 3 books that I'm recommending for now, and I will most likely recommend some others. And throughout this week, we're going to talk a little bit more about identity and what that really means. And we're going to talk more about self-mastery and what that means, and how it can help you and how you can make those adjustments that will free you from whatever is stopping you from achieving those goals. Remember, this is your Summer Success Series. And so during these weeks, the object of the game is for every episode that I bring to you, these episodes are designed to provide you with information and ideas that will help you help yourself. And that's what it's about. Help you to help yourself start to achieve more, to be more confident, and to not fall into that trap of thinking that you have to turn your life over to another adult. And I say this all the time. I know you guys who've listened to this for years says, you know what? She really means that. And when I say another adult, I mean turning your life over to the government and letting them make all of the decisions and treating you as though you're an idiot that can't think. You guys are built by design to win. Okay. The people in the government, they're not the only ones who are thinkers. As a matter of fact, some of them are thinkers and some of them, well, doesn't mean they're not smart, but some of them don't think at all. Okay. Because they have a specific agenda. And so I'm saying that to say, you don't have to worry about those agendas when you start to take control of your own life. You see, people's agendas only move forward when the masses agree. And we agree sometimes out of fear because we think that we need someone else to provide for us. Okay, that can happen not just with the government. That can happen in a person staying in a relationship too long, staying in the wrong relationship and being bullied by the wrong being bullied by the wrong person, but really being bullied by anybody who should not be bullying you or controlling you and taking you farther and farther away from your calling. So do yourself that wonderful favor and listen to these 3 titles again. High Impact Power Principles. That's by me, Pat Council. You can go to Amazon and get this. You can go to Amazon and order all 3 of these books. The Mastery of Self by Don Miguel Ruiz and Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy. These books will help you to get back on track, and it will actually prepare you for what's coming next year. You'll be more excited about the goals you set for the coming year. Why? Because you will have achieved. You will discover your ability to really achieve and that you don't need all these different hacks. And even if you have the hacks, you'll actually have the discipline to use what you've learned, to use all the tools and resources. There is no shortage of knowledge and information out there today, guys. And that's not the problem. The problem is with all of that information, people don't use the information. And because of fear and because they have no idea of who they are, because they haven't taken the time and spent that time with themselves. So last week, when I talked about getting into the right circle, but most importantly, when I talked about refresh and reigniting your goal, I did suggest that you spend some time with yourself. And I'm going to suggest that again this week. This is not, okay, let's do this week and then let's do something different next week. This is, let's do this week and let's add on to what we're already doing. Let's add something new so that we can continue to expand. And that's what these 3 books are about. I want to encourage you to start reading them and watch where they take you and get excited about that. Now, I am eventually going to invite you to come and join our circle of Power Up Nation, or a group of Power Up Nation within Power Up Nation, and bring your excitement, bring your your ideas of self-mastery with you, and let's cheer each other on and let's win together. Let's look at the side of winning, not let's look at the side of socialism, where it's, oh, what can I get? Okay. Do understand, and we're going to wrap up on this. When people think about what they can get, you will never have enough. People who always think about taking, they are never satisfied, and they never have enough because they've never achieved anything. So they have no feel for what it means to step up and make something great happen. With that being said, do yourself a favor and read these books. And notice I said read them, because I want you to use your mind. I know you could, and if you want to, if you must, you can do the audio books thing. Now, my book is not on audio book, and I haven't checked to see if these other two books are, because I prefer to read because it stimulates my mind. Not only that, studies show that reading is better than actually listening to an audio book, because it helps with your comprehension, it helps with your retention, and also it's going to help you with two of the most important things that you need to achieve: focus and your imagination. So consider getting the books and reading the books. Doesn't matter how fast you read, how slow you read, as long as you read and watch what happens. These books will stimulate your imagination. And the questions that are in all three of these books, take the time to answer these questions, and you're going to get to know more about you, and you're going to really see how powerful you really are. Listen, you guys, that's all I have for you on Designing Your Life today. So in the meantime, I want you guys to have fun reading and do life with power, knowing that you're built by design to win.